Into every generation, podcasters are born. Two guys in all the world, chosen ones. They alone will wield the strength and skill to discuss the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness, to lament the spread of their evil and the swell of their number. This is the Untitled Buffy Project.
In the 11th episode of Season 4, Doomed, demons are once again trying to bring about the apocalypse at the Hellmouth. Spike is feeling especially useless until he discovers he can fight demons, and the rest of the gang are cued into Riley's secret identity. This episode was written by Jane Espenson, Marty Noxon, and David Fury, and directed by James Conner.
Carter, are we doomed to not like this episode because it's called Doomed?
Yes.
I think the problem starts with the fact that there are 3 writers on this episode, even if they are good writers.
This episode, or kind of around here in the series, we're in the squishy middle before we get to the final third of the season, and I just think that they just didn't know what to do.
I thought Joss was good at the middle. He always talks about not being good at the beginning and end, but good at the middle.
This was not good. This episode, more than any episode so far, I felt was mostly filler. And there were a couple important things that got thrown out there, but I was just like, all right, let's just get on with this already.
Yeah, they needed to establish a couple things. One thing was that Spike can hurt things. It's not all inclusive. He just can't hurt living things. He can hurt demons and the like.
I can hurt the demon.
That was an important point, and there were some other things in there too that are established. But yeah, I've watched this episode 3 times in total, and I can't say, especially the ending. Oh man, I can't say that I like it.
No, I have a note. I have a specific note that says ending, space, kinda lame. Kinda lame. And from the very beginning, I thought this episode was so... Buffy was supposed to have learned these lessons a little bit already, although I suppose the entire season is about the alienation in the Scooby Gang. But Buffy's kind of a bitch in this episode, like to Riley.
Yeah, very, very dismissive, very cold. She thinks that the title comes from what she believes to be true about their relationship, that this is just, like before when he was just random college guy who she knew, she thought that maybe it could work because she could hide her secret identity and they could do that. That could be her other life, her relationship with him. And then it turns out he's in the same business, which was exactly the same thing she already went through with Angel. And that didn't work out very well.
Yes, but it's just... She just goes to such lengths to erect that distance between her and Riley. It's just, I mean...
Definitely. She's sabotaging it.
Wasn't she supposed to have learned, like... in the Halloween episode that she's better off when she has people around her and that she shouldn't, push people away and just be like the lone gun. She's not Clint Eastwood.
No, and she is comparing him to Angel, and I believe that comparison is basically unfounded. Yes, they both fight the powers of evil or whatever, but he is so unlike Angel.
He lives in a single world as opposed to in 2 different alienating worlds. Like, Angel's very different from Riley.
Yes.
Although, the weirdest thing, there are some shots of Riley where he does kind of look like a young Angel. Like in the first and second season, I think.
Isn't that weird?
It is a little weird. She's attracted to the same kind of guy.
That must be... Well, that doesn't stay true forever, but... They are both big hulking guys, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that the love story here was at least a little more believable than the Anakin and Padme love story.
You're gonna rope that in.
Yeah. If you all are following along with other projects that we're working on. I just didn't like this episode. And part of it was the fact that it's not just that Buffy was trying to distance herself from Riley. She also was kind of trying to prove that she's got a bigger dick than he does.
That's a very common Buffy storyline. She is emasculating. She does it to many, many men in her life.
I just found it off-putting, and the dialogue in this episode was also weird, and everything about this episode just sort of it didn't sit with me very well. Like at one point, Riley is trying to be earnest with Buffy, and it's when she's saying that their relationship is doomed, and he says the line, "I can feel every inch of my body humming," and I'm like, "Do you have like an erection? What are you talking about? That's the weirdest thing to say. Your entire body is humming, Riley."
Yeah, maybe they're deliberately doing a role reversal and giving him the feminine view on their relationship. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. So, I mean, their entire dynamic, he's so earnest and she's so cold. I wasn't really following the Spike stuff until he attempts to commit suicide, which I thought was a very strange tone to inject into this episode.
I don't know why he decided that was the way he would get out of this quagmire he was in where he can't hurt things.
Jeez.
It was a little funny.
Yeah, but it was also about like committing suicide.
But he was even bad at that, I guess, was the point that they made. He couldn't even do that.
I think Xander cracks some jokes about that too. I suppose if you think about it, that was the moment where we should have known that he could hurt unliving things, because he wasn't experiencing any pain as he like prepared
the intent of hurting himself.
Mm-hmm. Because like when Xander had his back turned to him, as he was like putting his hand up into the air, that's when he starts like cringing. It's
right.
Not like when
the V-chip responds to intent, not action.
Probably reading too much into it. Giles is my favorite character. He when he figures out it's the little talisman that he has, his line is, "Oh, as usual, dear."
Too bad they can only use that once.
I know. I guess they probably blew that one at the right time, about halfway through the entire series. Yeah, the ending was pretty lame. I was
that giant. I'm fine with them going back to the Hellmouth, going back to high school. Like it's been over 10 episodes since we've seen it, and then they do that weird action movie thing where like the person has to jump off of the edge and catch up to the person who's falling, and it looked like anime, like she was whizzing past a blurred background.
Yeah, I mean, and it looked like, they had a 20 by 20 foot piece of green screen that they had them, just sort of suspended.
Hang in front of, exactly.
Looked terrible. I didn't like the conceit, that they were, demons trying to bring about, open up the Hellmouth and sacrificing themselves, throwing themselves into the Hellmouth, and it's just the whole thing was just a
little silly.
It was silly. It was very silly.
You could have, if you could still do the apocalypse scare with a different method.
Yeah, and I think it would have made total sense to have an episode like this with the kind of with a similar plot where the stakes are very high, to help cement the bond between Riley and Buffy. But maybe the writers thought that there was just, they had overloaded the episode. Like, we're going to do the Spike reveal, and we're going to do some stuff with Willow and Tara. Actually, Tara wasn't in this episode, but was she? But Willow was just very sad.
Willow was very mopey.
She's very mopey. And I actually was like, oh, you should go see Tara. And they probably just thought, like, we're doing all this stuff. We can't have the A plot be too heavy. But then it just turned to be just like mush. I don't know what made me think about this, but I think the episode that we both universally so far have disliked the most is the one with the Thanksgiving one.
Yeah.
With the mission. I don't know what made me think of this, but during this episode I thought this. How did the Initiative build a giant thing under the school and not also run into the mission?
See, I'm asking many questions about why this big hollow space under the ground was not known about.
Yeah, I mean...
or any of the thousands of spaces under Sunnydale. It seems like very poorly researched.
Yes, the last two unexplored places on Earth are the ocean and the ground underneath Sunnydale.
They have the worst archaeologists in the world in that town.